Welcome to Simply Explained Academy. Today, we're diving headfirst into the super exciting world of Bitcoin price predictions for the end of 2025. And guess what? We're getting these predictions straight from some of the biggest brains in the crypto universe. Now, if you're new around here, no stress at all. This is going to be totally beginner friendly, just like we're having a chat over a cup of coffee. We're going to break it all down, step by step, and by the time we're done, you'll have a crystal clear picture of what the pros are saying. So, grab a snack, get comfy, and let's jump right in. First things first, why are we even bothering with all these predictions? Well, Bitcoin, the absolute king of cryptocurrencies, is currently hanging out around $110,000 as of the making of this video. That's just a tiny bit shy of its all-time high of $112,000 from earlier this year. Now that's already a massive leap from where it was just a few years ago. But the real million-dollar question is, how high can it actually go by December? These predictions from the experts give us a peek into where the market might be headed, especially if you're thinking about jumping in and investing. But hold up, a super important reminder, these are not guarantees. Crypto is like a wild roller coaster ride, so always do your own homework and only invest what you're totally okay with losing. All right, let's talk about the rock stars making these calls. We're talking about well-known analysts, seasoned investors, and CEOs who've been in the crypto game for years. They've got solid track records, huge followings, and insights based on all sorts of things: market trends, fancy charts, and global finance. Their predictions for Bitcoin's price by the end of 2025, they vary a lot, which honestly just goes to show you how complex and unpredictable this market can be. But hey, that's part of the fun, isn't it? Let's see what they're all saying, and get this. All of these statements are from May and June 2025, so it's super fresh. Okay, let's get down to the numbers. The predictions we're seeing swing from a more conservative $125,000 all the way up to a mind-blowing $2.2 million. Yeah, you heard that right. That's a huge spread. Most experts are kind of clustering around the $200,000 to $250,000 mark, but then there are those few wild outliers. Let's break it down by person so you can see exactly who's saying what and why. First up, we've got Tim Draper. This guy's a venture capitalist who snagged Bitcoin way back in 2014 for a measly $632 each. Talk about a steal. On June 4th, 2025, he tweeted that he's expecting Bitcoin to hit $250,000 by the end of 2025. His reasoning? He thinks more and more people and companies are going to start using Bitcoin, which will totally drive up demand and push that price higher. And get this, he's been right before, like predicting $10,000 in 2017. So his words definitely carry some weight. Then there's Tom Lee. He's the co-founder of Fundstrat Global Advisors. And Tom's a Wall Street legend who's been super bullish on Bitcoin for ages. On June 2nd, 2025, he spilled the beans in a CNBC interview saying Bitcoin could hit $250,000 by year-end. His big reasons? The Bitcoin halving in 2024, which basically cut the supply of new coins in half, often leads to big price spikes. Plus, he sees big investors and pro-crypto regulations in the US giving the market a huge boost. He totally nailed last year's prediction that Bitcoin would hit $100,000 in 2024. So his $250,000 call is definitely worth paying attention to. Next, we have Peter Brandt. A true veteran trader who just loves analyzing price charts, Peter's a little more on the cautious side. He tweeted that Bitcoin could reach $125,000 to $150,000 by August or September 2025. Okay, so that's a bit earlier than year-end, but it gives us a sense of his outlook. He uses technical analysis, which means he's looking at patterns in the price, and those have really worked for him in the past. His range is lower, but still totally bullish, showing he's not as wildly optimistic as some others. Now, here's our wild card, Max Keiser. Max is a financial broadcaster and a seriously huge Bitcoin fan. In early June 2025, he tweeted that Bitcoin could skyrocket to $2.2 million. He didn't give an exact date, but his enthusiasm is absolutely infectious. Max believes Bitcoin will completely outshine traditional banks and currencies, especially with major players like BlackRock investing. His predictions are always bold, and while they might seem a bit out there, they definitely make him a favorite among crypto enthusiasts. Finally, coming from the institutional side, we've got Jeffrey Kendrick with Standard Chartered Bank. On June 5th, 2025, he predicted that Bitcoin will reach $200,000 by the end of 2025. He's looking at growing interest from large investors and a more stable crypto market, which totally makes sense given how much big money and ETFs are flowing in. And then, an article from Cointelegraph added even more voices to the mix. Adam Back, CEO of Blockstream, predicts $200,000, but he says it could actually jump to a whopping $1 million if the US sets up a strategic Bitcoin reserve. That's a big if, but it just shows his pure optimism. Andre Dragosh from Bitwise also expects $200,000, keeping it nice and steady and realistic. Anthony Scaramucci, founder of Skybridge Capital, is also going for $200,000, totally aligning with the $200,000 club. Mike Novogratz, CEO of Galaxy Digital, is a bit more cautious, predicting $130,000 to $150,000, showing he's not quite as bullish as some others. Robert Kiyosaki, the famous Rich Dad, Poor Dad author, predicts $250,000, joining Draper and Lee in that exciting range. Arthur Hayes, co-founder of BitMEX, says $250,000 if the Federal Reserve goes into quantitative easing, which basically means printing more money to boost the economy. That's a lot to take in, right? From $130,000 to a mind-blowing $2.2 million. It's truly a wild range. So let's zoom out a bit and figure out why these experts think Bitcoin will keep climbing. There are a few big factors at play here. First up, institutional adoption. We're talking about massive companies like MicroStrategy buying billions in Bitcoin and ETFs making it super easy for big investors to get involved. It's like Bitcoin is getting a huge stamp of approval from Wall Street, which can only push that price higher. Second, regulations. If governments, especially in the US, keep giving a thumbs up to crypto, that's fantastic news for Bitcoin. But if they decide to crack down with stricter rules, it could definitely slow things down. It's a delicate balancing act, and experts are watching it super closely. Third, that Bitcoin halving from 2024. This event cut the reward for mining new Bitcoins in half, making Bitcoin scarcer. Historically, these halvings almost always lead to price spikes because there's less new supply hitting the market, and demand either stays strong or grows. Finally, the global economy. Things like inflation, interest rate cuts, and all that geopolitical tension can actually make Bitcoin look like a really safe place to park your money, especially compared to cash that's losing value over time. It's like Bitcoin is becoming the new digital gold for some investors. Now, let's be totally real here. Not everyone is super optimistic. Some experts are warning that Bitcoin could hit some serious roadblocks, like tougher regulations or even a market crash. A few analysts think $150,000 to $200,000 is far more realistic than those crazy $1 million or $2.2 million predictions. It's always smart to keep both sides in mind, especially if you're thinking about investing. Crypto is volatile, and while the upside is incredibly exciting, there are definitely risks too. To make this all a little easier to digest, here's a quick table of all the predictions we just talked about so you can see them all at a glance. That table should really help you visualize the range and who's saying what. It's a fun mix of optimism and caution, which is pretty typical for the crypto world. If you're just starting your crypto journey, remember these golden rules. Always do your research, start small, and never invest money you can't afford to lose. The market is super exciting, but it's also wonderfully unpredictable. So, what do you think? Will Bitcoin soar to $250,000 or even hit that mind-blowing $2.2 million mark? Drop your predictions down in the comments below. I'd absolutely love to hear what you're thinking. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to ring that bell for more awesome crypto updates.